welcome back to Community Couch Time, a daily talk show where we talk about things that are important, things that are happening in our community, in our state, in this country, and internationally. Oftentimes, the topics that we discuss are ones that others aren't talking about. And the question is, why aren't we? Hello, and welcome back to Community Couch Time. Today is a very exciting day. We have a really special guest here, Ricardo. Hi, Ricardo. How are you?
Good, thanks. And yourself?
I'm doing really well. I'm really excited that we're going to have this opportunity to talk. When I first, read your story, you really inspired me a lot, and you connected to, a lot of the work that I do with youth, and so I wanted to, bring you here to kind of share your story so others can know and also be inspired by you because you're very inspiring. So I'm excited.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about where you're from and how you decided to make your journey to the United States?
Okay, so thank you for the introduction. I was born here in the San Fernando Valley.
Okay.
But my mom did not like the area.
Mm-hmm.
So she decided to take me with her back to Zacatecas at the age of 3 years old. And since I was 3 up to 14 years old, I studied in Zacatecas, which was mainly up till middle school. And then I noticed that I was able to come here to study and live due to the fact that I was born here.
Right.
But I did not know that because I have a double nationality, which makes me also a citizen over there in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So after I was done making my paperwork and everything, I was able to receive my papers, I would say, my passport. And I decided to come here to the United States because I was taught by some ideologies that right here you can find a better future. My main goal in life when I used to live over there was to become a professor, and it still is nowadays. And I knew that by doing that in here, I would be more financially stable, kind of like with the ideologies of a better life.
Right.
So I arrived here in 2014. My process was a little different because I was not used to having 6 classes in high school. In Mexico, we have 8. So right here, it felt kind of light for me.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
everything,
really good to know. Wow.
yeah. So right here, when I got to Palmdale High School, I lived I lived in Palmdale from 2014 to 2016. So I did 9th and 10th grade over there. So when I remember when I went there and I did all my classes and everything, they were like, okay, so you're gonna have these 6 classes, and I was like, just 6? And they were like, yeah, like that's the max people can take in here, like sometimes 7, but that's for people that fall behind. And I was surprised because it's so much different because it was 2 classes less for me that I had to worry about. So it made it easier for me, and it gave me a little bit more of time to focus on those classes.
At that time, were you able to speak English?
No, I did not know any language. I mean, I knew nothing related to English, like nothing. It was just Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And did they register you into like the English learner classes?
Yes, they mainly did that because I did not belong to the other group as the other kids.
Oh,
Because my English was not even like, I didn't have any level of English. I was an English learner.
mm-hmm.
So once you get there, you kind of feel like you belong to a group where you also find other people that you do not have the idea that they were there. When I went to the high school my first day, I didn't know that there were going to be other kids like me who their first language was Spanish as well, that they were trying to learn English as well.
Right.
So it was surprising to me to see that there were many more people, not just from Mexico, but from all over the world, as well as, mainly Central America.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like that they separated you, or did you feel like you were part of the whole school?
I feel like I was separated, but by somehow I was still part of the school because it's like a different group from the rest of the kids. Yeah. You normally would see kids going to a certain classroom that you do not have the access to go to because of your language,
Right.
you kind of feel like you're gonna stay behind in learning due to the fact that you don't know the language that is required to be at that level of your education.
So what was it about you that that triggered like for you to want to learn English? Because sometimes you have students that feel that way, like they don't have access and it might frustrate them. What was it that gave you the ganas to like go forward and keep learning the language?
So when I started my first week, I remember they told me that I had to follow a certain path for me to be able to be reclassified. I was barely introduced to that during my first week, and I noticed that everything was counting towards GPA, which by the time I didn't know what it was and
Right.
how important it was.
Yeah.
And it did being reclassified, I believe, does not affect the GPA, but because you're taking other classes that you shouldn't be taking, it does at the same time because it requires you to do even more well on those classes.
Right.
So I was a little bit confused about it, and I went to talk to my advisor by then. And it was an old lady. She was white, and I remember that I asked her like, "Oh, how long is it gonna take it for me to be reclassified to barely start taking ninth grade English?" And I remember that she said to me, "Oh, like based on the fact that you just got here and that you're barely new into the system, I'm pretty sure it's gonna take you 2.5 years for you to be able to jump into ninth grade English."
Oh wow.
And I asked her, I'm like, "But why so long?" And she's like, "Because like I had a translator by then, and
Mhm.
I asked the translator to ask her why so long." And then the translator told me that the advisor had said like, "Oh, because like you only speak Spanish," like as if it was my fault to only speak Spanish.
Right.
So that kind of triggered it for me to be like, okay, like I'm gonna prove you wrong, like just wait on it.
Yeah, I love that. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so a little bit ago, you said that you already had a goal. You already had a dream to become a professor.
Yes.
Where did that come from? Tell us the story of how you decided that when you were back in Zacatecas. How did you decide you wanted to be a professor?
Okay, so in Zacatecas, people that have A's and B's are known for having nines and tens because that's how the grading works.
Okay.
So because I was really good in math, I was able to fit into it was a group that is mainly developed to go to communities with lower income
Mhm.
for you to teach them
Oh,
the basic levels of math that they should know. So you're kind of like a tutor,
mhm.
but you're being sponsored by the school, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So when I
Wow.
would go, yeah, when I would go to those little communities near Zacatecas, I would see the excitement of kids when you would arrive to the classroom
Mhm.
because they knew that it was an opportunity for them to know different subjects that were not being taught in their school. So I mainly focus on math and I focus on Spanish because over there, Spanish is really important because you have accents, you have acentos, you have all kinds of things, grammar and everything. So my group was always I didn't stay attached to one group because we were constantly moving around, but it was the excitement of seeing other kids that wanted to learn because sometimes their professors wouldn't even go to teach because the jobs are not well paid as they are in here and they don't really have that many benefits as it is in here.
Right.
So it made me change their perspective of learning to be more encouraged in going to school, hoping that they would learn something different than what they normally do.
Wow.
So I wanted to come here to apply the same thing in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. So now, what is it that you want to teach? What grade level and what material do you want to teach?
I was mainly attached to math back then, but as I got here, I discovered new subjects.
Mhm.
Um, Currently, I'm working with LAUSD as a teacher assistant
Mhm.
for middle school. And during my path in university, in terms of education, I was introduced to Chicana studies, and that's I would say I would call it my home, like my little casita of studies. It
I
makes
love
me
that.
feel like home. It makes me feel like I belong there, you know?
Yeah.
The first class that I took, I was able to connect with people that had similar stories to mine, and that made us create a bond.
Mhm.
And when I would take, and I'm still taking those courses,
Yeah.
it feels like you need to constantly be reminded of your culture,
Mhm.
and it is really important because the only way that culture can die is if you like just forget about it.
Right.
So embracing culture is what keeps it alive.
Yeah.
And I want to keep my culture alive because I know there's many people out there like me who
Yeah.
have a dream and who are inspiring to do something. And I would say for me right now, it would be teach at the basis in elementary. It could be history, but as well as put in my little pedacito de arena
Mhm.
so they can also learn how to be able to be pride for their own culture as well as embracing their own culture too. So that they don't feel that they don't belong anywhere besides just school.
I love that. I love that, you know, a Chicano male teacher of elementary. We need more like you. That's really wonderful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
That's really awesome.
yeah, no problem.
So on the topic of culture and embracing your culture, when you think of well, we'll just talk about Zacatecas. Let's look to Zacatecas. When you think of some beautiful thing about Zacatecas that you'd like to share with us, what is it? Share something.
I would say it's the fact that when it comes to Christmas and the Mes Patrio, which is when they celebrate September, when they celebrate Mexico's independence,
Mhm.
everyone is very like outgoing. They throw everything, like they throw parties, they throw this amazing traditions that they're known for.
Right.
Um, the first thing that comes to my mind is Una Noche Mexicana, which is pretty much the entire weekend of when they celebrate Mexican independence. They throw parties, but the parties that they throw are mainly like for people to go around the village or the
Okay.
little town, and then they serve typical dishes that are like that come from Zacatecas,
Okay.
and that's what makes me feel like I belong there as well. But
Yeah.
as I used to living here, you kind of miss those because that's where I'm from. So
Yeah. Well, let's bring those two here.
yeah,
What is
definitely.
a typical dish that was celebrated that you really love from Zacatecas? Tell
A
us.
typical dish that comes from Zacatecas that I really missed is called Cala. It
Okay.
is known in the upper north states of Mexico, but I know that it comes from Zacatecas because that's where they mainly like have the like where it kind of like it belongs there, you know?
Uh-huh.
So it has chorizo, it has sausage,
Mhm.
it has tomato, onions, it has to have garlic, black pepper, it has to have carne asada, any type of meat. And then on top of that, it's cheese,
Okay.
jalapeño, chile morrón, chile verde. So
Wow.
it's like a full mixture of like the main ingredients that are typical or like known in the Mexican
Mhm.
cuisine.
Yeah.
And it's a disco shape
Yeah.
that kind of like the taqueros use, but it has a little hueco,
Mhm.
a little hill. And once it's done, the tortillas are las calientan alrededor del disco. And you just feel free to grab your tortilla and scoop the meat, and then you flip it, and there you have your taco of discada.
Yeah.
And it's a bond that you can like even make it with friends. You can make it like anywhere.
Yeah.
And people can add different type of things to make it taste different. But the main idea of having a discada is another typical way to say like, oh, I'm gonna have a carne asada.
Yeah.
Because right here in my family, when we try to do something like that, we mainly think of that instead of carne asada right away.
Yeah. Yeah. No, my family is from Chihuahua,
Mhm.
and I have a lot of familia in Chihuahua and also in like El Paso, New Mexico. And the disco is like my family has a disco, and
Yeah,
or you know, like it's that and then it has like where the fire is from the bottom, and then you cook
Yeah,
there. So you're right, like people
kind
have
of mandatory for everyone to have one.
yeah, to have a disco, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ricardo.
Mhm.
I have one last question for you, and that is for sorry, I think I'm getting sick. I have one last question for you, and the question is for other young people coming to, you know, California, to the US from, you know, other countries and that are learning English. What is your advice for them? Like, what can you tell them to help them to be able to, you know, hang in there and do what they have to do?
What I would say to everyone is that once you're here, you feel like you don't belong here because everything is way different. And adaptation is a progress in which many people sometimes get confused or lost. You have to seek for help in terms of finding those who have the same ideas as you.
Yeah.
I remember I would go towards people that their main goal was to educate others or become teachers, or I would even ask my professors or teachers what kind of advice made them stay in college. And now that I'm in college, I'm applying the same thing, asking my teacher in the classroom that I work with.
Mhm.
So I would say be constant on your studies and don't forget where you come from, because that's what's gonna make you achieve your goals.
Yeah.
If I'm able to share this is because I'm already in my last year of college. Hopefully next year I'll get to achieve my biggest accomplishment with what was mainly come here to get a higher education.
Yeah.
And then from there, my master's, and then why not the doctor's degree?
Yes.
But everything is like a step by step.
Yeah.
So once you complete one step, don't give up there. Try to aim for better things that you know that they'll benefit you later on. Because I did not know that my story could make me or get the position that I'm in today, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes I would think that Chicano studies really makes me the person that I am, and it's part of my culture, because being a person that does not belong ni de aquí ni de allá
Yeah.
makes me find my own place in here, as well as embracing some of my cultural things from where I used to live to where I live now.
Thank
So I would say stay be adapted, try to adaptate as much as you can, and seek for resources with those who share the same goals as you. Yeah.
Thank you. I brought you here because I was hoping, you know, you could help inspire others with a similar situation, and mission accomplished. You've done that. You're so
Thank you.
inspiring. Thank you, Ricardo.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, and Ilakech.
That was Ricardo Ventureño, Chicana O Studies major at California State University, Northridge, with a minor in American Indian Studies. Very inspiring. So that takes us to the Community Couch Time Journal question. And the question is, what is your Casita of Learning? And how will you help others keep their culture alive? Tell us, share with us, we want to know.